Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy Tuesday. Hope it's going
Yeah.
well for y'all. It's a big day around here. By around here, I mean at Park Seed. So today we launched a brand new website that we've been working on for a year now, at least. That's taken a lot of hard work from everyone across our company, and it launched today, and it's a huge deal. So check out our new website today. We were showing some of it as well, but it's been a big day
It looks
around
really
here. So
nice. I really like it.
yeah, and it's got some really cool features that let you filter the plants, by different types, and it shows you the plants that are good for your zone. All of that's built into the site. It should be incredibly fast. Should work really well on mobile. Just be super snappy and all of that. So we're really excited about it. And if we seem a little tired, then it's because we've been up really early since really early this morning, working through some issues and stuff. So, but we're excited today to talk about our favorite things that we like to grow in the summer, and we're going to share some tips about some of the things that we grow in the summer. So, um, yeah.
Welcome, everybody. I see we already have people popping in saying hi. I love it. We are here in Zone 7 in Oklahoma City. And I see, oh, nice. Awesome. I'm glad that you guys have checked out the new website. I like it. It does look really nice. I was actually pulling it up beforehand and I was like, ooh, this is
Yeah,
nice.
it's just so fast too. Like you tap on something, it just loads.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, but we are here with Smart Pots also in Oklahoma City. I love that we live so close to them. It's amazing.
Yeah, the weather right now, they reported on the weather for us. It is absolutely beautiful. We have
Perfect.
about 2 weeks of this in Oklahoma before it is brutal temperatures and brutal heat. Like we're always lulled into thinking, oh, this is so nice. And then come mid-May or the end of May, like it gets really hot around here. So we're just enjoying the 70-degree temperatures while we have them, because once we hit like June, we won't see 70s even at night. It'll be a few months before we see temperatures.
We're taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
We've been busy out in the garden cleaning out some of our cool season crops that have bolted and not doing well, and then we were planting out some tomatoes and peppers and things like that. It's awesome. I love it. Yeah.
So
We've been busy doing a lot.
hope y'all been out in the garden as well. Hope the weather's been nice where you are. Seems like across the country it's been pretty mild for the most part. So
yeah, I would love to see where you guys are all from. Pop in the chat, say hi, and let us know where you guys are joining us from. And
sorry, Michelle.
Oh no,
said, stop this hot weather talk right now. If y'all see me looking down, I'm not being rude. I'm trying to manage the chat and do this. I've been doing it off camera the past few weeks, but I wanted to talk to y'all again. I missed y'all. And, yeah. So anyway, if I'm looking down, I'm not being rude. I'm just managing the chat and talking to y'all.
And we also have Mariana joining us in the chat. So everybody say hi to Mariana. She's going to be joining in the chat and chatting with you guys and all of that too.
Yeah. And Mariana's up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So completely different weather from us. Which we're going to Denver this weekend. So I think the weather's going to be the exact same as it is in Oklahoma City.
Probably. It's pretty.
The past few times I've been to Denver, I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be nice and cold. And then it's hotter there than it is in Oklahoma during the time that I'm there. That's happened like the past 2 times I've been there. So.
Ooh, we have Eric from Smart Pots. He's in Pensacola.
Pensacola.
Love
That's one
it.
of our other favorite places. That's where we went on our honeymoon.
Pensacola, yeah. We went there on our honeymoon.
All
lots
right.
Lots of years ago.
All right. Well, let's jump. Hey, Stephen. How's it going? New Hampshire. All across the country. This is so cool.
I know. I love it.
Well, the stuff we're talking about today is going to cover pretty much all of the country. So we're going to keep stuff pretty generic. And we're going to talk about our favorite tips. Is that today, May 17th?
Yeah, sorry. I did see Latoya's comment about May 17th. I was like, did I put May 17th? I looked at the date and I'm like, it's 14th. And I was like, oh, yep, it does say 17th in that. I'm sorry.
Oopsie.
Yeah, that was my bad.
Well, let's get off that slide. Let's talk about tomatoes.
It is the 14th. We did not time travel.
Nope.
We are here on the 14th. Here. And yeah, sorry about that.
All right, so let's talk about growing tomatoes. And we're not going to go in depth on these because we're going to cover a lot of different things and we only have an hour and we want to be able to answer your questions too.
So, and I always put a slide in, but I forgot to say that make sure that you guys, whenever you comment, you're going to be entered to win the giveaway. So at the very end, we're going to be giving away a free 1 year premium from Seed to Spoon access. It's exciting. So one lucky winner is going to be picked at the very end. So make sure you guys are commenting, and each comment will get you an entry into our drawing at the end.
And one of the major features of the premium is you get unlimited Growbot questions. And coming very soon is something we've been working on for a bit now that we're really excited about. We gave Growbot eyes. So you're going to be able to take pictures of your plants, of the pests, of whatever's going wrong in your garden, and ask Growbot what is going on here. And he will help you out. We've been testing it nonstop. We've had it.
Yeah, we've had a lot of you guys helping us test it.
Yes, thank you to everyone.
So
I know some of y'all are in here. Wendy, if you're in here, Wendy, I'm sure you're in here. Thank you so much. Like Wendy sent us this all, did so much testing and sent us a lot of great feedback. Over the past 2 weeks, we've been working through issues, trying to get it, like make sure the answers are solid. And we're so excited. We think we've got it to the point now where we're ready to release it. So, Wendy gave her blessing on it today, at least. So I feel like Wendy's a really good indicator for something is ready. She's an awesome tester. So we're going to be rolling that out really soon. That's all part of premium. You get unlimited questions with Growbot, and that's going to include the picture stuff too. So it's been so helpful. We've been using it ourselves, and we've discovered all sorts of things about our garden through it. About it's been awesome. We've been using it for all sorts of stuff. Hey, Cheryl. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for testing. Awesome. We really appreciate you. And if anyone else wants to jump in on the testing, like last minute testing efforts here, because it's going out the door. I almost said growing out the door.
That would be great.
It's going out this week, assuming none of y'all find any big issues.
Crossed.
It's going out this week. So if you want to join in our last minute efforts and being able to take pictures of your plants, take pictures of pests, see what's going on in your garden, email us at info@seedtospoon.net. Let me pull this up on screen.
It's on there somewhere.
I got to enter it. 1 second.
Yeah, just send us an email and we will get you set up.
Email us here. Now, this is if you're on premium. If you have premium access to Seed to Spoon already, email us here and we'll get you set up.
Maybe they will get drawn today.
If you win today, you're just getting it. We're just going to set you up with it, and hopefully you'll use it. But we're going to automatically do it if you win today. So anyway, I say all of that to say all that is included with Growbot. And if there's questions you have today that we don't cover, go ask Growbot, because we've been testing it a lot. The answers are phenomenal, especially with the picture stuff. It's a real game changer. So okay. So let's jump in and talk about tomatoes and talk about our top tips for growing tomatoes. And let's start from the time of planting. It is important that when you plant tomatoes, you put fertilizer in at that time of planting. We use Espoma. They have a tomato-specific fertilizer. And that's pretty much all you have to do is put it in the hole where you plant it. And that will really help with getting that tomato going, with encouraging root development, with helping it grow roots and do all the stuff it's got to do to start putting out tomatoes. So that's one of the biggest tips we have is make sure, like, there's a lot of plants I don't necessarily like beans. I don't fertilize at planting that much because they have there's a lot of other things I don't really stress too much about fertilizer on. Tomatoes, I make sure every single time I plant them, they're getting fertilizer. That's one of the things that's a big key with tomatoes.
And that Espoma tomato tone is the one that we use all the time. I mean, I just put a video out yesterday on our Instagram, and actually I think I put it everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube even, just showing like how we were doing that and how we were transplanting, and also some of our top tips that we're talking about today.
So I know your top tip is going to be related to a question that we are getting here.
Oh, okay.
So
what question do we have?
Question here is about stevia as a companion plant. So do you want to talk about, first let's answer the question, because this is something we actually had to look up yesterday because I couldn't quite remember. So in the Seed to Spoon app, we have a section in there for companions, and then it'll show you all the companions for tomatoes. You can also ask Growbot as well. And yes, stevia is a good companion for tomato because it can discourage pests, because pests don't like the sweetness of the leaves. So it's not going to directly impact the tomato plant like something like basil would. like basil will actually help your tomato plant. It'll help it.
It'll improve the flavor of the tomatoes, which is amazing.
Like they've done a lot of science on this.
Yeah.
Like that's like one of the main companions that is for sure like one of the best. So all of our tomatoes are going to have at least a couple basil around them. Typically, like, so we just planted out of bed yesterday that had tomatoes, and it's a 4 foot by 8 foot bed, and I did 3 tomatoes in the middle. They're Roma tomatoes that weren't giant varieties. I think they were 3.5 foot varieties. So they're only going to get, like, they're not going to overtake that whole bed. 3 of them will be a pretty good amount for it. And
I had a picture of it. Did I send that to you?
I couldn't get it to load.
Oh, okay.
But I'll see if I can pull it up when you're talking.
Okay.
So we put basil all around it, like probably 3 plants around each. And then we also mixed in marigolds. And what else? We have a couple peppers in there.
We actually did do stevia in there too.
Yeah, we did the stevia, the marigold, the basil.
So I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. Nasturtiums are also great companions for tomatoes. They're going to bring in a ton of pollinators. They also smell incredible, and you can eat them. They're flowers that you can eat.
I know, and that's amazing.
But you can also just smell them. Like you'll be perfectly happy just sniffing nasturtiums all day, if you're anything like me.
Yeah, so pretty much every time we plant out a tomato, we do absolutely a basil, sometimes a marigold or a calendula or a nasturtium, like something along those lines next to it too. We do a bunch of different ones.
So great question here. What do you do if you forget to put fertilizer in the hole when you plant it? So if you forgot at the time of planting, it's okay. Just get some of that espoma and dig it in around the tomato plant. You don't want to dig it in too close to the tomato where roots have started to develop, or you could do the damage, like you damage what's going on there. But if you sprinkle it in around the outside, you could also water it in really well. Yeah. Like, so the reason why like getting it down at the root ball matters is because some nutrients like phosphorus and potassium aren't as water soluble as nitrogen. So nitrogen moves through the soil really easy. When it rains, it takes nitrogen from the top of the soil, moves it down, and moves all throughout. Some of these other nutrients that are in these fertilizers don't travel around as freely. Like they are where they are. And it's important to kind of have them around the roots. So like that's why I say kind of dig around. The roots will find it. The roots aren't going to stay right where you planted that tomato. So if you dig it down in the soil around, it's going to get there. It's just going to happen faster if it's right in the hole where you planted. But like the water soluble fertilizers, like those are perfectly fine, like as a liquid. And like I'll do that too. Like we'll put the espoma in the planting hole when we plant it. And then we'll also do some sort of a liquid fertilizer, every 3 weeks or so while it's growing just the leaves. And then once it starts to put out fruit, then we back off on the liquid fertilizer because too much nitrogen can cause it to not produce tomatoes. This is a lot to remember. This is why we built an app and put all this information in that app called Seed to Spoon. So if you go look at tomatoes in the app, you'll see all the stuff I just said about fertilizing and all that kind of stuff. It's all right there in the app. And yeah, so those are the big tips for tomatoes. One last big tip for tomatoes is to make sure that you give them a break from extreme heat in the summer. So if you're somewhere like we are that gets temperatures above 100 degrees, it's really going to bake those tomatoes and they're going to struggle. One thing that we like to do is either plant them in an area where they're going to get shade after 3 o'clock, or what we're trying this year actually is planting them on arch trellises kind of underneath and have a shade cloth hanging over the top of the arch trellis. But the point is have some sort of a shade cloth that can help your plants out once it hits like that 3 o'clock time, because that's when their plants just really start to bake. They need sun, but like after 3.
Especially here in Oklahoma, it's intense.
Yeah, if you're in the south. Now, if you're somewhere up north, then you probably don't have to worry about any of this stuff. But if you're somewhere that gets really hot, then that's... And this was a great tip for a great thing that April did here. She planted her tomatoes. So 20-gallon smart pots.
Yeah, that's like exactly what we did. So I was like, oh, that's exactly what we do. We put ours in a 20-gallon smart pot, put some basil and marigolds. Yeah, perfect. I'm excited to see how it does for you. Oh, I do want to show, while we're talking about tomatoes, we have our tomatoes back here.
Oh, yes. So we've talked about these a little bit. Check these things out. These are the kitchen mini varieties. This is as tall as this tomato is going to get. And look at all the tiny little tomatoes on here. Can y'all see it? Yeah. So this is growing right here in our kitchen. We've got it on a windowsill, and I also hung some grow lights here. These are just like really thin grow lights I found on Amazon. I've got fishing line where I've hung them down. Um, you may not want to do that in your kitchen, but I thought it
you
looked
can't.
fun.
It's great because you can't even really see that it's there.
It's the same height as the windowsill.
And honestly, it just looks more lit up and more bright. Like you can't even tell that they're there.
And look at this little baby. This is red velvet.
Yeah, this is another kitchen mini. And then again, this is about as big as it's going to get.
This is a 1 gallon smart pot here. We've got just a little like plastic tray underneath of it. And these have spent their entire lives here inside the kitchen. I thought it was going to be a big pain to have to hand pollinate, but I've only done it a couple of times and it seemed like it worked pretty well. I'm not a great gardener, y'all. That's why I had to make an app to help, because I forget things. I'm not super patient. I'm not the type of person that enjoys hand pollinating plants. So I didn't know how well it was going to go. But between the little amount that I actually did and kind of just, I don't even know how it happened, but we've got tomatoes. So it's been a cool experiment.
Yeah, I love those little kitchen minis. They're amazing so far. Hey, that might be a good place to show Park Seed's website and show the kitchen.
Yeah, I was going to try and pull it up. All right. You got to talk for a minute.
If you have it.
Stuff up. Yeah, I'll get it pulled up. Let's move on to the next plant, and then I'll come back and show some of these kitchen minis.
Well, because there's kitchen mini peppers also. And I do have a kitchen mini pepper back here too. But I can't reach that one. That's behind him. Oh, there we go. Nice.
Did I do it?
You did it.
Okay. Yeah, so here's our fancy new website, y'all.
I know, doesn't it look beautiful?
So I'm coming here. And one of the cool things about it, too, is the search is going to be so much better. Kitchen mini. So now...
Yeah, so there's the 2 different tomatoes that we just showed you, too. And then there's a bunch of different peppers, too.
Yeah, so if you just search kitchen mini, then you'll see all these different varieties we have. Because we have peppers that are growing over here, too. That have a couple little baby peppers growing on them. I know that there's like a cucumber kitchen, this mini-me organic cucumber. A lot of these are great for patio gardens. And that's why we're growing these, is because we want to experiment more with growing in a small space. So we're treating like our kitchen, our sunroom, and our patio here as though it's a garden that is the only garden we have. And we're trying to see how much food can we grow in this space and how much can we grow year round. Because these kitchen mini tomatoes, we can have year-round tomatoes right there on our kitchen sill. So that's been awesome to be able to do that. And I'm so excited to be able to start harvesting these. And we're basically just going to plan on having a round of them going, every month or so. We'll start another round in a biodome, and then we'll just plant them out and keep it going. We'll always have peppers and tomatoes. So speaking of peppers.
Yep. Speaking of peppers, these are another one of our favorites. We love to have, we have a lot of different peppers out there. We have all sorts of hot peppers, sweet peppers, bell peppers, banana, everything you can imagine.
We went
in
wild
every color
on peppers. We, I think Park had like 70 something varieties of peppers, and we planted all 70 of them.
We literally did. That's not an exaggeration. We literally grew at least one of everything.
We went a little wild with peppers, but it's going to be great. I am so excited to try and keep up with our pepper harvest and to have my friends come over and hang out and pick some peppers.
Yeah, we had our first pepper last night. It was awesome. It was a Jalafuego.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was actually really good. I was worried it was going to be a little spicy, but
she was scared of it.
I was a little scared, but it was perfect. It was a little spicy, but not like overpowering. But it was really good.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different types of peppers out there. The Park's Whopper is a great jalapeno to start with. Let me pull it up. I also love growing poblano peppers. Jalapenos, poblanos.
You're not showing it.
Sorry, I gotta find it. Well, I'll come back to it.
Yeah, you're on.
Poblanos, jalapenos, they all grow pretty much the same way. And there's not a lot of tips we have to share for peppers because they're really simple. Same thing goes with like planting, with fertilizing peppers, or another thing that I make sure I fertilize. the main reason for both of them is because they really need calcium in order to set fruit. So like putting that espoma in there, make sure that they get plenty of calcium and everything they need there as well. So just make sure you fertilize at the time of planting, and don't put them out whenever it's too cold. Make sure you wait until the soil temperatures and the nighttime temperatures are like at least 55 or higher, like getting closer to 60. Because if they get stunted really early in their life, then they never really recover from it. So those are the biggest tips with peppers. Make sure you use some sort of a stake or like a small tomato cage. Like those really small tomato cages that I see at the store are horrible for tomatoes. They're great for peppers. Because
It's true.
they're going to overwhelm your tomatoes. And your tomatoes are going to overwhelm it. It's not going to go well. But for peppers, they work great. So, or like really all you need for peppers is just like a bamboo stake, just one right next to the plant that you tie it to. Because
Just
peppers,
to kind of support it so it doesn't tip over is all you need.
yeah, because peppers will have like just one main stem, and then sometimes they'll branch off and have it, but you can just have one main support for all of it, and that'll be fine. Um, Yeah, so there's really not a whole lot we have to talk about with peppers. It's one of those things where if you haven't started your seeds for them by now, you're probably going to want to buy some transplants because it's pretty, they take a bit to germinate. But if you have a biodome, then you can germinate them and get them going in about 7 days.
Yeah.
So,
on a heat mat.
yeah.
A biodome on a heat mat.
Although our garage just is a heat mat. Like
right now, it definitely is.
It's like 80
sure.
degrees in there all the time right now. So yeah, I don't think we have a whole lot of other stuff to talk about with peppers. Like I said, they're really simple to grow, and I encourage you just to go wild with growing a ton of different varieties of peppers. If you don't know what to do with all these peppers, that's something we should talk about. I think the tips for peppers are what to do for all the peppers you're going to get. I think that's probably the biggest tips we can share.
I love it.
So we have videos that cover how to preserve them, but just a real quick version is you can either freeze them, which just entails like running them through a food processor to dice them up and then putting them on some parchment paper on a cookie sheet and putting that in the freezer and then taking that out and putting that in a baggie. And then you've got little frozen pepper pieces that you can use. We use that all the time to saute with like onions and garlic when we're making pretty much every meal we make has that like sauteed first, and then we add other stuff in.
We've also dehydrated them before.
Yeah.
We've also smoked them before.
We made our own paprika, which is just smoked peppers.
Yeah.
So we smoked the peppers and then we ground them down into a powder, and that was cool. And then what we started doing recently, which might be my favorite way, is actually to pickle them. So again, just run them through a food processor to get them into small pieces, put them in a mason jar, and then it's a mixture of boiling vinegar or boiling water and hot vinegar, right?
Yeah. And then a little bit of sugar and salt. And, if you want to put some garlic in there.
But I did not know how much I liked them until I think I like ordered a sandwich somewhere one day and they put it on there accidentally. And I was like, this is actually really good.
But they're so easy to do. So easy to make.
Yeah. So those are the biggest tips are what to do with all these peppers you're going to get. Because you're going to get so many peppers off of just one pepper plant.
It's a great problem to have.
Yeah, you can also do things like make your own pest sprays from peppers. So if you grow like cayenne pepper, we've done that where we've taken cayenne and then made made a powder out of it, mixed out with some water, and then that's a good pest deterrent.
And we sprayed it. I think we put some garlic in it too. I remember. And then we went out and sprayed it around where we were having problems. Yeah.
All right. Any questions about peppers that we need to pull up here?
I love it. I'm thinking it too. I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to go out there and see if I can find any peppers now. And
we got to start making this live stream at 11, so like, we can just immediately go to lunch. We can't do it during lunch because we're gonna get too hungry. Yeah.
Oh,
that sounds so good.
That's a cool idea. I love that.
Yeah, on popcorn. So we've got this nostalgic popcorn maker thing that I got from Carrie.
Yes, I love it. I'm so excited. It's so much fun to pop our own popcorn, and the kids love it. We need to grow
our own popcorn this year. Oh. We got to do that.
Yes.
We better hurry. It's May 14th. Corn needs to knee high by 4th of July is the saying around here. Like the corn has to be at least knee high by 4th of July. Well, I grew up with enough farmer friends that I heard that. Okay. So next on our list is summer squash. And this one, we're going to have to share some tips for because it's not as easy as peppers. Now, the first year you grow it, it's probably going to be really easy. And you're going to be like, why isn't everybody a summer squash farmer? Because this is
Yeah,
really
the
easy to
first year
do.
we grew, we got like, oh my gosh, we were getting like 20 a day, I feel like.
Yeah, it was just like, and Carrie was going wild with recipes. So we have like 20 recipes in the app for summer squash alone.
And a bunch of unique things too, like grilled cheese, like zucchini grilled cheese and zucchini pizza bites and like so many fun things that the kids all loved also. Oh man, it was so much fun.
The cookies were so good.
Oh yeah, cookies, brownies, bread. I did it all.
She was the Bubba Gump of zucchini for about 2 weeks, and she just went wild.
It was amazing. The kids had so much fun too.
Yeah. So all those recipes are in the app. If you go to summer squash and you go to the recipe section in there, then you'll see these recipes we're talking about. But that's going to be the first year because as soon as the squash bugs and the squash vine borers find out you're growing squash, it is a war. And it's a tough war. It's one of the toughest wars in the garden is fighting off.
Yeah, I always say squash bugs are my nemesis. They are literally my nemesis in the garden.
Yeah. There's not much you can do also as far as like, even if you do want to use pesticides, the pesticides don't work on squash bugs. So there's really not a lot you can do outside of being a good gardener and being diligent and going and looking at your plant every day and looking for eggs and stuff. And I'm really good at being a good gardener for like a month. But then once summer hits and, we want to go to the lake, I'll take like a weekend off. And then you take 1 weekend off and you're checking your plants and the squash bugs are taking over. And so here are some of the keys on how to deal with this. Number one, accept you're going to have some squash bugs on at least some of your plants. You're not going to be able to prevent it 100% unless you are just like a very good gardener. Hey, so if you're a very good gardener, we
probably have some amazing gardeners in here.
We probably do. And props to all of you. I wish I could be like you. But with the idea in mind, you're probably going to have at least some casualties. Grow more than you think you're going to need and grow them in different places around the garden. So don't put all your squash in one, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your squash in one garden. Make sure you put them like in different spots all around the garden, and then you have barriers of other things in between, and use a lot of companion plants. I think I saw a question about companions for squash bugs. Yes, right here. So yes, here are some of the main companions that will help with squash bugs. Radish is a really good one that they've done a lot of trials around here that I paid attention to. I remember radish. Yarrow was another really good companion.
Mint is supposed to be good, but
be careful on that.
Yes, make sure you put mint in a little container, but having just the smell of mint next to it will help too. And then I know dill is another good one.
Yep. Again, all of this is in the app. You don't have to remember all of this information. Like, this is why we built the app. So we didn't have to remember all this. We wanted to make an app to make it easy to keep track of all this. So if you go to Summer Squash in the app, you'll be able to actually see the companions. And I should probably pull it up so that I can actually show, but I'll do that. So other tips we have for summer squash.
Well, while we're talking pests, we probably should mention vine borers. So the biggest key for vine borers that I will say is, and I saw somebody said that they were experimenting. Yes, this is the biggest tip. What Cheryl said is trying to grow it vertical. First of all, that'll help with squash bugs too, and seeing if there's a problem. But wrapping the stems with aluminum foil, if you do this, you will hopefully prevent any squash vine borers from boring into the bottom of your plant. And it'll save your plant a lot. But we're also experimenting too by doing a lot of ours underneath some insect netting. And then once they start to get bigger, we're going to open it up and remove the insect netting so that way pollinators can get in there and we don't have to hand pollinate.
So let's talk about squash vine borers just briefly a little bit more. So one of the indicators, because squash vine borers, you're not going to know you have a problem until your plant just drops dead one night. And you come out there the next day, you're like, what happened? It happens so commonly. And when you go to look at the plant, you'll like get down the stem and you'll go to like pick it up and it'll just like break off. And it's like in half. What's happened is the squash vine borer has laid an egg of a caterpillar that like tunnels inside of the squash and eats it from the inside of the stem. So the reason why this aluminum foil works is because it protects the outside of the stem so that when the eggs are laid next to it, they can't tunnel into the squash. They can't bore into it, as the name says. So that's why that works, and that's why the insect netting works too, because the adult moth that's flying around, which looks kind of like a wasp, by the way. It's kind of a
hornet more too.
Yeah, it's kind of a scary looking thing.
Yeah.
But it can't sting you or anything, but it sure looks like it can. It's another one of those fake stingers. So anyway, it can't lay its eggs on the plant if you have the insect netting around the plant. So the 4x8 raised beds that we have these PVC domes that are over them that have insect netting around it. And then that should hopefully make it to where the squash is able to avoid that. Now, one thing we got to do, though, is we got to take that insect netting off once the plants get older, because they're going to need pollination from bees and everything else out there. They're going to need to get to it. So at that point, the plant will be developed enough that hopefully it can fight off any pests that it has. We can, when we take it off, we'll then wrap it with foil. We'll do all that kind of stuff. So we'll let you know how it goes on if we are able to avoid squash bugs, squash borers this year.
Yeah, hopefully all of your guys' experiments will help too.
Yeah. One tip for getting so you're probably going to end up finding squash that has eggs on the underside of the leaves for squash bugs at some point. Take the lint roller or double-sided tape or something like that, and then just sort of scotch tape and just do that. And that's a really easy way to get them.
Yeah, you'll usually see them on the underside of your leaves. So every time you're out there in the garden, just take a peek under a couple of your leaves and see if you see any of those eggs.
Didn't you do a live stream over pests last week?
That was last week.
Yeah. Yep. So if you want to know more about pest stuff, like check out our live stream from last week, Carrie's live stream from last week, because she did a whole live stream about it. Can y'all hear us okay? Getting reports that we might have some static in our audio.
Hopefully, maybe I just bumped it. Hopefully that's all that happened. If not, I can switch up mics, so just let me know.
Okay. Well, we'll keep going unless y'all tell us it is unbearable. Cool. We moved and fixed it. Thank you, Mariana, looking out for us. So frustrating when you make a whole video and you find out the audio didn't work. Carrie had like 2 20-minute videos she made this year out in the garden, and then the audio didn't work on any of it.
Oh, so frustrating. Yeah.
Okay. Cucumbers. Time check. We got 30 minutes still. So cucumbers, back to an easy plant. Not something you're going to have near as many issues with. You are going to deal with cucumber beetles, and they look like yellow ladybugs. At first, you're going to see them like, oh, ladybug. That's not good. The yellow ones are not good. It's not the same thing. And what they're going to do is you're not going to see noticeable damage necessarily, but they're going to transmit diseases. That's like the main reason that cucumber beetles are bad, is they have a tendency to transmit diseases. And that they're pretty easy to handle for the most part, because they are attracted to the color yellow, because they're attracted to cucumber flowers and squash flowers, like everything in that family. And you can buy yellow sticky traps, and that works pretty well on them. So that's what we do, is we have, like, around our cucumbers, we have yellow sticky traps kind of hung all along the fence. People always ask if we have issues with other things getting caught in them, and we really don't see much outside of flies. There's definitely flies that get caught in there, but we're not seeing butterflies. We're not seeing bees or even spiders or anything like that getting caught in them. It's just going to be flies, cucumber beetles, other pests like
leaf hoppers.
Yeah,
I see those a lot in them.
Yeah. Also, companion planting. Again, if you go into the app, you'll see all the companions for cucumbers. Really not a lot of, you want to make sure you trellis them.
Yeah, I was just about to say, we plant all of ours along, we do our own like DIY cattle panel trellises and grow them up with those, and it does really well. Now there are some like little tiny patio versions. I know Park Seed has these it's like a patio cucumber that's really small, and it might need a little bit of support, but it doesn't need like a full-flown trellis. So if you are looking for one that doesn't need quite as much, there are versions that don't need quite as much trellising.
We have that mini-me version too that we showed earlier.
Yeah,
we need to try that one.
We have it. I ordered it.
I think it's right there on the table.
Oh, yep, probably. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's over here somewhere. Oh yeah, here's a cucumber patio snacker.
Nice.
Yep. See, we've been busy planting.
Yeah, our kitchen table often has garden seeds on it because this is where we're like organizing, get everything ready before we go out in the garden, and it just never really gets put up. I mean, we're planting like the next couple days anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Um. Okay, I think that pretty much covers it for cucumbers. Are there any other questions about cucumbers we need to look at before we go on to the next one? We have a question about squash that I actually want to come back to. Are there any squash that are resistant to squash bugs? I don't know if squash is necessarily resistant to squash bugs. Um, there is a squash that's very like attractive to squash bugs. Let me tell you why that matters. Um, so you can grow the blue Hubbard squash, and squash are very attracted to it. And what we do is we'll do that kind of early in the season as a trap crop to get all the squash bugs that were left over from the previous year attracted to that one. And then wait until you see them on there. Like you don't want to wait for eggs to develop. You want to wait till you start seeing like the adults and stuff gather there. And then you basically like build a fire close by it, take that plant, throw the whole thing in the fire, along with squash bugs and all. Sounds harsh, but I told you it was a war. It is a war with the squash bugs. That's something we've done as a trap crop, but not necessarily plants like varieties. If y'all know of any squash plants that are resistant to, first of all, like man, that's a seed we need to get.
Yeah, for sure.
Let us know. This is actually something that is possible though. So there are some squash plants that cannot be bored into. There are a couple varieties out of Japan, and you have to get them from a Japanese seed company. Like I don't think anyone else carries them, but that one seed company based out of Japan. I don't remember the name of them. It's been a few years since we grew them.
I just know they're called like solid stem.
They were Korean actually. They were a Japanese seed company that was selling Korean squash, I believe.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called.
I'm trying to remember the name of it. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but
we have looked everywhere for the seeds since. Like we found them one time, like a few years ago. We've looked everywhere since and can't find it.
But it is on our list of seeds that we want to get at Park Seed. We're always on the lookout for new varieties and stuff, and this is definitely on the list of something that we're looking for. Are squash plants that are more resistant to, and like some of our other varieties, like some of our Whopper varieties for tomatoes and peppers, like those are ones that have been picked for resistance to different diseases or pests that are related to that. So I do want to point that out also. Okay, any other questions about cucumbers here? Here's a question. So do you recommend covering the area where we plant cucumbers before the seeds sprout? I'm not 100% sure. I think I have to know more about what your garden looks like, but I can tell you that if we're just in like a raised bed, then we're just planting them. Oh, cover with insect netting. I think that's what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure what ate.
Okay, so that was probably a cutworm. A cutworm is a little caterpillar that is in the soil that will wrap around the stem of your plant and decapitate it. That's probably what you dealt with there. And that insect netting is not going to help with that because it's already in your soil. A couple things you can do. You can go through and like clean out the bed really good and look for them. Again, another extreme method is I have a propane like torch basically that I torch my raised beds whenever there's really bad pest issues and just flame throw it.
1 year, I mean, it's pretty intense, but 1 year I did go through and put little toothpicks against like on each side of the plants because I was tired. They were attacking our beans, and I went through and I put a toothpick on each side of our seedlings on each one. It helped them because they can't get wrapped around and they can't cut it off. So
yeah,
that or like a little toilet bowl, the cardboard right there, you can put that around it. That'll help with that too.
All right, I better stop talking so much because we still have 10 more slides to go and 20 minutes to do it. So we're going to rush through these a little faster here.
Well, we're answering questions as we go.
I think we're going to have some of these are pretty similar too. So yeah, melons. Here's the top tip for melons: grow small ones. It's way easier. If you grow the big melons, there's a lot can go wrong. It takes a long time for the fruits to set. You can get your heart broken. If you grow these small melons, you're going to get a bunch of small melons, and even like It's really like it's hard to mess it up. Like you're going to get at least a couple. And you can also like grow them on an arch trellis, have them hanging down on the trellis. Like that's always cool to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a personal size anyway. You don't have to share. You get your own watermelon. Like if you have a large family like us, it's cool. Just give everyone like half of a watermelon. Um, that's the top tip for watermelons. They have the same pests as cucumbers, so make sure you're doing, the insect traps, looking for cucumber beetles, doing all that kind
Well,
of stuff.
and
Too.
watering also too is different for watermelon, right? Because you have to
the key on
hold off at the very end.
Yeah. So it's in the app, the exact details on it. You water consistently while it's growing, and then at the very end you back off. But again, I can never remember the exact details on it. It's in the app though.
Yeah, I know you're supposed to back down on the watering like before you harvest, so you don't like wash out all of the flavor and the taste. I mean, it's fine if you do; it just won't be as flavorful.
Yeah, and then it's ready to harvest whenever the tendrils that are closest to it start to die off. I remember that part too. We've often dealt with pest issues with watermelon, and it happens at the most heartbreaking moment because it's like right when you're ready to harvest. Ways to avoid that are you can put it. We've put like our watermelons inside of cages before. They built little cages that went around them. Growing vertically will help a lot though. So again,
keep those like rats out of it, because one year we had a rat go through and like take bites out of it. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, we were so mad.
Yeah. There you go. Your melons in containers.
Absolutely. So we're going to grow watermelons in smart pots this year. We're going to use probably at least a 15-gallon smart pot for them, and then we'll grow them up arch trellises. So we have these arch trellises all through our garden, and we have smart pots lining both sides of each of them, and that's how we're going to grow our melons this year. Okay. We have any tips for melons?
Those are probably the biggest ones that I can think of.
Basil.
Well, I wanted to make sure I included basil because, again, basil is one of my favorite warm season companions besides marigolds. But you guys have, I'm sure, grown tired of me talking about marigolds every single week. But basil is amazing too. It is an amazing summer herb. It's going to go amazing for you. It grows great from seed. And we start some inside in like the early springtime, but we also direct seed them. Like even now we're still going out and direct seeding them, and they will grow amazing for you. There's a lot of different varieties of basil too. My favorite is cinnamon basil. In fact, I know that cinnamon basil is sitting over here in a packet as well. It's my favorite. It is extremely good. If you guys haven't tasted it, you need to try it. It is not only beautiful, whenever it blooms, it has these beautiful purple flowers on it, but it tastes incredible too. I love putting it on things like sweet potatoes, carrots, things like that. Like it brings out like a sweetness, and it's so good. I love it. That's probably the biggest things about basil. It's an amazing companion plant.
And if you don't know how to use it, pesto is incredible. It makes everything taste better. We will have pesto all summer, and we'll make it from all different types of basil and other herbs too, like sage pesto is probably our favorite pesto. But it's really easy to make. We have recipes in the app. We have videos that show how to make it. But you'll get a lot of basil. Like one plant will produce a lot. One tip is that whenever it starts to flower, snip the flowers off, and it will develop bushier. So typically we're trying to trim our basil. Like once it gets about a foot tall, I'm starting to trim it back because that'll just encourage it to get bushier and bushier.
Yay! I'm glad that you're growing basil this year.
Oh, awesome! What variety are you growing? Let us know in the chat what variety you're growing. The lettuce leaf has become one of my new favorites because it's more of a mild flavor, which makes it great for putting on a chicken sandwich. Like I love to make these grilled chicken sandwiches. I'm gonna make everyone hungry again. These grilled chicken sandwiches we make on our Blackstone griddle, and then I love putting like basil, mustard leaves, all of that on it. And like regular basil leaves can be a little overwhelming, but those lettuce leaf basil leaves They're bigger and the flavors kind of spread over the entire leaf more. It's better for sandwiches. I really want that now.
Awesome. Carolyn's going to try the cinnamon basil on sweet potatoes.
It's really good.
You will love it. Trust me. It's amazing.
Yeah.
We just like saute or roast too the sweet potatoes with the cinnamon basil. So good.
Yeah, and put a little honey on there too.
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to be completely good. It makes it so much better. Just adding that honey and then browning it in the oven for a little. I'm getting so hungry.
I know. I really want to eat that now.
We're gonna have to go, y'all. We're gonna have to end this. All right. Next on our list are sunflowers. Another very easy thing to grow. So it's important to have flowers around your garden for a number of reasons. Number one, it's going to bring in pollinators that are going to help your other things that need a fruit. It's going to make you happy seeing all the flowers everywhere. It's going to save you money. You don't have to buy flowers for your wife anymore or your spouse, your other person. You can just go outside and cut them, bring them in, and she gets happy from it. All I had to do was walk outside and cut a flower, and now she's really happy. It's really easy. So it's marital advice there. Grow sunflowers. It's easy to make your
it's not only a gardening channel. It's a...
Yeah. Hey, we're morphing. Grow a lot of different varieties. There's the tip. And check out the mammoth variety because they get like 12 feet tall. And it's
so much fun.
We grew a mammoth 12-foot tall sunflower in a 1-gallon smart pot once. I got a picture of me like holding it up and it's like giant up in the air.
It's like towering like over the roof as he's holding it. It's awesome.
And sunflower seeds straight from the sunflower taste so different than from the store. Like they taste so much better. So I highly encourage you to try fresh sunflower seeds, and it's such a different experience than having sunflower seeds from the store. They're so good.
Plus, this is going to be a really easy thing for you to grow. Also,
you can throw really seeds out.
Just throw seeds and it'll do its thing. And
they'll come back every year. Like we have an army of sunflowers outside everywhere. Just from a lot of these are native that just So sunflowers are awesome. And sunflowers are also something you can grow as a microgreen too. We'll be talking about microgreens soon, probably. We'll probably have one of these all about microgreens really soon.
Yeah.
Because in the summer, you can't really grow, like where we are, you can't really grow lettuce and spinach anymore. So we turn to microgreens in the summer for a lot of our greens. So maybe next week we'll do microgreens. Okay, okra. Okra is another easy one. Not a lot of issues to deal with. It's going to get big, so make sure you've got space for it. But I thought you were going to say something.
I was going to say the biggest tip for okra that I would say is make sure you harvest the okra when it's tiny.
Yeah.
And don't wait until it gets, I mean, honestly, bigger than your finger, because it'll start getting tough, and you can still use it at that point. And as long as you like cook it a long time.
It's great for like soups and stuff at that point.
Yeah. But
fresh okra
those tiny
is so
ones,
good.
you can just snap it off and eat it.
Just raw, right? I mean,
I
never realized how good raw okra was until we started growing it. So, not a lot of pest issues to speak of. We don't have with okra. Like it just works. It just does it, and it really likes the heat. So it's one of the plants that, like when it gets really hot here in the summer, like we have okra, we have basil, sweet potatoes, and like squashes going pretty much, and that's some of the easiest things for us to grow.
Oh, I saw okra fries pop up.
Yeah, fried okra is so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, I would like to go.
We don't have
eat.
okra. This is like
I know we don't have okra
yet. This is not fair. We're doing things over plants we don't have yet. We should be talking about the stuff we have in our garden now, so I can go walk outside and make it when we're done. We need to throw in a slide for kohlrabi because that's what we have for harvesting right now. Is a ton of kohlrabi and broccoli, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes. We just planted these out not too long ago.
Yep. Our favorite way to plant sweet potatoes is in a big 100-gallon smart pot. What are they called now? Smart pots, help me out. Y'all keep changing the name on it. It used to be called big bag beds. And then
it's a round raised bed.
Yes, the round raised bed, the 48-inch. Did I do it right? They'll tell me in the chat. I think the 48-inch round raised bed is what it's called. And it's basically like a big round raised bed. See why they named it that? It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's just a big round raised bed that's about this tall. and it's perfect for sweet potatoes. What we have two different beds going is we have a ring. Thank you. We have a ring of smart pots, or a ring of sweet potatoes around the outside of the smart pot. On the inside, we have bush beans. You could throw other stuff on the inside, but that's like we have smart sweet potatoes trailing off of that. We have sweet potatoes on and also in their own smart pot. They look really nice trailing off. So anywhere that we can have space for them to trail off and do their thing, then we're going to do that. One tip about sweet potatoes that also applies to potatoes is if you grow them in a smart pot or some sort of container like that, it's a lot easier to harvest because you just dump them out and then you can dig. It's like Easter egg hunt. Like kids will actually like helping you in the garden on that day. Like no matter how much the kid doesn't like gardening, they will love
It's fun.
the Easter egg hunt of looking for the Easter. I needed to be able to say something. I need to come up with something there besides the Easter egg hunt. Okay. Next slide.
Beans. I was
Just
about to
talked about
say.
beans. Yeah.
Well, and we actually planted beans, bush beans, in the middle of our round raised beds with the sweet potatoes.
So beans come in two different types. You've got bush beans that produce a lot of beans at once. They get like 2 or 3 feet tall, produce all their beans in one, maybe 2 rounds, depending on the variety, and then they're done. They're awesome for getting a lot of beans at once. So for preserving, for having a large family, for all of those reasons, they're great to have. Usually what we'll do is we'll do staggered plantings of beans every 2 weeks from now and through like all of May. And then in June, we'll switch to southern peas, which are black-eyed peas, because they like the heat a little better than bush beans do. But a lot of the country, you can grow bush beans just all summer and just plant new rounds every 2 weeks. And then you'll have staggered harvests of them. And you'll have beans all throughout the summer and into the fall. They'll survive. I mean, the bush, you can keep doing that until it gets back to being around freezing temps. Pole beans are the other type of bean that are a trellising bean that grow up a trellis or a fence or something like that. They're very easy climbers. It's not like tomatoes where you've got to like help them climb. They will climb on their own, kind of like peas. They've got these like tendrils that grow up. So we have a mix of both going in our garden. Pole beans are nice because they produce beans all year long. But you don't get quite as many from them. Like you get them spread out over the whole course of the season.
It's good for snacking. I feel like you go out there, snap some off,
or for it's usually like probably 4 or 5 bean plants would be enough for a family of 4 to be able to have a stir fry a couple times a week.
Yeah,
like it doesn't take a ton. Bush beans are when you really want to have a bunch of frozen beans, like to preserve.
And it's really easy to preserve them too. I mean, all you really need to do is so you do what's called blanching them. You just put them in some boiling water for about a minute or so and then move them over to ice cold water. And then obviously you want to dry them off before you freeze them, but very similar to peppers, you just lay them flat in the freezer for about 24 hours and then take them out and put them in a container. And then you can have beans all winter long. It's great.
They're very easy to grow. Not a ton of pests. Like she mentioned cutworms earlier in the beginning phases. Cucumber beetles can go after them a little bit too. But grasshoppers love beans too. Remember that. But not a ton of pests, and they're pretty easy to grow.
Okay, I'm going to skip to the next slide. We're running short on time.
Oh, man. Okay.
Pumpkins are very similar, though, to watermelon. And I feel like they vine. They grow in the same way.
Yeah, they're going to have the same issues as squash.
Pests.
So they're going to have, so pumpkins are in the same family as like summer squash. Actually, with cucumbers too, they're all technically in the same family. But same things we mentioned: squash bugs, squash vine borers, grow small ones. Same things we said with melons. What else should we talk about with pumpkins?
I think that's probably good. We're running behind.
Okay, I'll let you talk about this one.
Loofah. Yes. Okay. So I love loofah. Again, this is going to be very similar to the other squashes because loofah is actually a squash. So if you have ever seen like the sponges from the store, like this is actually what it is. So if you want to grow your own sponges, it's amazing. You can grow these, let them brown on the vine, and then peel them off. You just peel the outer skin off, and then you have your own sponge. It's awesome. Then you can also eat them too whenever they are smaller. So, I mean, it's great for everything. You just need to have kind of a long growing season, a long warm growing season because it likes warm weather. But loofah is definitely one of my favorite. It's definitely going to need a trellis too. We love to grow these up our arch trellises, and we put them in smart pots next to the arches, and then we let them just grow, and then they kind of hang down. It's really fun. I love to grow these. So definitely try these ones out. Okay, corn. So biggest tip that I will say about corn is going to be make sure you grow plenty of it together, because you can have issues with not having all of the kernels filled in if they're not um, like pollinated really well. So having a big chunk of them together is good. So that's why before we were never super successful with corn. Sometimes we have had success if we grow enough together, but that's probably the biggest thing that I will say about corn. Um
These
Hold
poor
on.
plants at the end, they got no
I
love.
know. I did see a quick loofah question.
It depends on where you are, April. Check out the app. It'll
Yeah.
calculate the planting dates for you. That's one of the free features in the app. It'll calculate planting dates based on your nearest weather station. Even if you're close, I say go for it. Like,
Give it a try. I mean,
what's the worst that could happen?
I know you might just get some loofahs that you get to eat, and it's just like squash, so
Yeah.
it's great. You may not get them all the way to sponges, but give it a try. Yeah, we're still in the process. Like I was actually just direct seeding some the other day, so if you're anywhere close to us here in Zone 7, you're good. And then zinnias. So yeah, zinnias again are one of these super simple flowers that you can grow in your garden. You can just toss seeds out and they'll do their thing. They are so simple to grow. They will bring in so many pollinators and butterflies and bees, like everything into your garden. So these are definitely ones that I recommend growing. And one of the great things too about zinnias is that they will like reseed themselves. Like in the fall, they'll drop seeds down, and then in the spring, they'll come back up. So put them in a place where you want them to be forever, I feel like, and they will keep growing.
This
I
is another
love
one you
them.
can just cut and give it to your wife, and she's really happy.
Very happy because they're so pretty.
Yep.
They're one of my
If
favorites.
she planted it, and she's still happy when I cut it. I don't. It works though.
Okay. Woo, we did it with 1 minute to spare.
Yeah.
Look at us.
So I think next week we're going to do another question and answer, because I'm not very good at looking at the chat and talk. I'm not good at it. So next week, let's just dedicate the whole time to answering questions, because I feel like we missed a lot of questions today, but we're out of time. We had a lot to talk about. So, but again, if we did not answer your question, Growbot has got you covered. If you are a premium subscriber to the app, check out for the photo features that are coming soon, or help us test it now. Again, you can email us. In case you're kind of just joining us, we talked earlier about how the new version of Growbot has eyes now. So you can take pictures of your plants and pests. It'll tell you what's wrong with it. It'll tell you what it is. It'll tell you what's going on. We've been testing this extensively. A lot of y'all have helped us with testing. Again, really appreciate everyone that's helped us out over the past couple weeks. If you want to join in the last minute testing efforts, email us at info@seedaSpoon.net. Again, you've got to be a premium member, because this is going to be a premium only feature. So email us there and we'll get you set up. So I think it's time to announce our winner.
Yeah.
All right.
Who won?
So our winner for today is April Birch.
Congratulations, April.
Congratulations.
So send us an email at info@seedaSpoon.net, and we will get you hooked up with premium access and also the new Growbot features too. Yay!
We'll get you
It's
all
exciting.
set up.
Oh, and I don't think we ever mentioned too that the 1-year premium subscribers get free shipping on all of their orders too.
Yep.
So
and some other. So I can't show this to you yet, but I'll tell you what's coming. We are really close to having it where you can take a picture of a seed packet and log the plant like that. That's all you got to do. Just take a picture of the seed packet. You're done. We are so excited about it. We're going to need help testing this too. So if you're already in our testing group, we're going to email you already and be like, hey, can you help us test this too? But if you want to join our testing group, join into the fun, email us again.
It's right there.
It's the same one that April's got to email. It's info@seedtospoon.net right here. So appreciate all of you so much. Aw, April, that was nice. I can't. There we go. I'm trying to juggle 2 computers here. So,
oh, great!
Thank you so much. Well, we really hope you enjoy the premium version. We're excited to get you set up with it. We're so excited about these new features coming soon. Mm-hmm. So again, check out the new Park Seed website today. If you haven't checked it out yet, let us know. If you see any problems or anything, let us know that too. Just message us on Instagram or Facebook, or I guess we're on YouTube. We're on all these things. Can you message us on YouTube? I don't think so. You can leave a comment. Leave a comment. That'll work. We'll see it. We see it. It all comes through us. We see it. So it's been fun hanging out with y'all, and we'll answer more questions next week. So
yep, same time, same place. So looking forward to seeing you all there.